Here we go. Yep, here we're going. Hi. Hi, good afternoon, y'all. If I'm right, hi. No, if I'm right, we are almost done with the Major Arcana. Yeah? Damn, yeah, we are. We're definitely not finishing it this class, definitely not. But we are getting close. All right. So, we have gone over the women of the Major Arcana and all of their lessons and all that good stuff. We have gone over the men of the Major Arcana and all of the lessons that they have to teach. And now we are moving on to the duality that kind of exists in the Major Arcana. The Major Arcana is a really weird place of shadow and light, and that is that's safe to say with all parts of occultism, all parts of spirituality. There's duality in all of it. That's kind of like the whole point. That's kind of like a whole theme. But we're going to sit and take a moment to really focus on and highlight, like I said, the duality that kind of exists in this. The Major Arcana is a liminal space. The whole tarot is a liminal space. And there's light, there's dark, there's neither. Some exist inside the other. It's this whole complicated mess. We spend much of our spiritual journey learning the comfort of the light. But also there's no hiding in there. It is glaring and unforgiving. And, the dark is unknown, but there's also safety in the dark. You can hide, there's comfort in there. So it's important to kind of see both sides of it. And the tarot really, really helps us kind of start to dig into that. We learn selfishness and selflessness. We learn how to kind of experience both of those. We learn how they can exist in a healthy way, right? Healthy selfishness in the boundaries of the Queen of Swords, and also unhealthy selfishness like in the Devil, which we'll get to. Or, selflessness like in the Hierophant, and healthy selfless and unhealthy selflessness like in the Empress who gives too much, or in the Queen of Cups in reverse who has poured her cup out over and over and over again until it's completely empty. So it's really important that we kind of take a moment to look at all of these things. So we're going to start with the Lovers. That's going to be the first one that's in that liminal space, duality type of energy that we're going to really start breaking into first. Now, like always, every card gets a card prompt. If you want to do it, cool. If you don't, I'm not your teacher or your mom. It's fine. These are just fun little ways to kind of get to understand the energy of the card a little bit better. So for the Lovers, the prompt that I want to go with is take a look at your commitments. Are the promises made in line with your values? Do these things enhance your ability to live truthfully and with integrity, or no? The Lovers, if you're looking to assign a zodiac sign to it, is Gemini. Gemini is the big Lovers card. So if you're using this as a yes/no, the Lovers is a yes. It is ruled by the planet Mercury. So intellect, thought, all that air sign energy, The deities that are associated with this: Isis, Osiris, Eros, Psyche, Aphrodite, Ares. Think our mythological couples. That's who you're going to see here. The angel that we see here is Raphael, who's the angel of soulmates. So, makes sense. So the Lovers is the 6th card in the deck. 6 is the number of perfection in numerology. It's completion. It's the number of Venus. It is the number of trust and romance and hedonism and charm. It's It's also my lucky number, which tracks because I work with Aphrodite and I was born at 3:36 a.m. on 06/28/1996. Lots of sixes. Lots and lots and lots of sixes. So, tracks. So, on the card, to break down its imagery, we have, actually, do we have the letters anywhere over here? Let me see. Not that I can see. Not that I can find. Oh well. On the Lover's card, we have a man and a woman. Think the Garden of Eden. We have a man and a woman. They're usually naked. You know, they're surrounded by all these beautiful flora and fauna and all these like beautiful plants. It's like the sky is blue. There's all this fire. It's like a really, really beautiful, bright, passionate imagery usually. You know, they're nude. There's an angel in the background who, you know, since we just talked about him, would be Archangel Raphael. He's kind of there in the background. He offers physical and emotional healing and blessings to the union of this man and woman, kind of who are on the card. Again, who we can presume are probably Adam and Eve. They are, like I said, they're in the Garden of Eden. The snake is usually there wrapped around the tree. This is meant to show us sensual pleasure that can take us away from this place of harmony that we're kind of in. You know, think about it. When you're in a relationship, obviously your intimacy is really important, but like, well, think about how many relationships are ruined because people are chasing their own desires. They're, you know, biting their own apples and getting kicked out of the garden. We're getting what I'm picking up here. You know, we're getting it. It's kind of what we want us to think here. There's also a big tree on fire. Like I said, all the fire. There's a big tree on fire in the background. This is meant to show passion. And this kind of shows... This is mostly like the divine masculine because fire, you know, like I said, connects us to the divine masculine. It's passionate, fiery energy. Usually coming off of this fire are like 12 individual flames. Those are the 12 zodiac signs. So that one's just kind of simple. Now, the man watches the woman who looks ahead. You know, it kind of shows that like he's letting her take the lead in this moment. He's kind of, they're working together, right? Now, finally, the angel, not just who he is, Raphael, obviously him being the angel of soulmates makes sense for him to be on this card. But the fact that there's an angel at all on this card kind of represents connections to the physical consciousness and the super consciousness or your subconscious or your higher self consciousness. Reminding you to focus on the emotional needs and spiritual concerns of yourself and of those around you. And sometimes, along with the on fire tree, or sometimes in place of the on fire tree, there's like a volcano erupting. Passion. Also, you put the dots together on what that imagery is. I don't know what else you want me to say. You got two naked people, and there's a volcanic eruption happening. Do I need a chalkboard to... No, I shouldn't need to. We're all adults. Yeah, okay. All right, okay. Thank you. Now, upright. Where are you going to find keywords for my flashcard people? Upright, relationships, partnership, determining our values, love, harmony, choices, alignment, meaningful connections, sexual energy. That's all kind of what we tend to see in this card. When we see the lovers, this tends to suggest beautiful, deep, rich, soul-honoring connections being formed. Close friendships where love, respect, and compassion are flourishing. The lovers is not always intimacy or romantic relationships. Sometimes it's friendships. We all know the term platonic soulmate. You know, we all have that one friend that is this like deeper than soul type of connection. That's what you'll see. If this is a romantic relationship, oh my God, get strapped in, get comfy. You're lucky. You found it. You are locked in for quite some time. Now, what we also tend to see, this is a card of communication and vulnerability. It calls for raw honesty. Get clear on your beliefs, find what you stand for, and formulate your philosophy. You know, so if this isn't about you getting in tune with other people, if this isn't about you connecting, then there's a good chance that this card can instead be about you connecting with yourself, figuring out your own sets of values, figuring out, you know, what do you care about? What don't you care about? What things do you care about purely because you were told to care about them? What things do you care about because they're actually issues that you think are worth your time? You know, these are all important questions. I'm actually going to sit. I'm going to bring you guys down to come hang out with me. Hey, how's it going? Okay. My hair is caught on my knee ring. Okay. We're going to get comfy. We're going to chill. So, like I said, you know, if the lovers, if this card isn't having you, I feel like we're on FaceTime. Now this feels like a FaceTime. This feels like really like informal and comfy, but I'm kind of vibing with it. So, like I was saying, if this is not a card of mushy, lovey-dovey connections, of intimate relationships, of new friends coming into your life, then that's okay. Then there's, like I said, a good chance that this card is calling for you to get in touch with your values. You know, it's funny. It always makes me think of like you remember like early college when like you're really, really discovering who you are as a person, and like, you know, you're learning about all these social issues that maybe you were sheltered from, or because of your parents' political ideology, you know, they didn't have too much of the other side of things, and like you're getting exposed and you're like getting in like a huff about all these things. You're really building and shaping your core values and, like I said, like who you are as a person. And that can really be what kind of shows up in the Lovers card. If it's not, like I said, hinting at and suggesting like a type of relationship, you know? Sometimes it really just is you getting in tune with yourself. Get clear on your beliefs and break and deconstruct the indoctrination of the Hierophant. So there was a time and a place for the Hierophant's tradition and rules and because I said so's and we do this because we've always done things this way. There is a time and place for that. There absolutely is. And then there is a time and place to question it and to wonder what parts are we bringing with us and what parts are outdated and relics of the past that no longer serve us. So it's important to kind of deconstruct when we have the Lovers card around. Establish your own beliefs. This card is all about choice, communication, unity, and dual forces. Oh God, I'm dropping everything. It's a mess. I'm a mess. Now, when this card, God, I really do have butterfingers today. Jeez. Now, when this card, oh my God, that every time I say I keep dropping things, I almost drop something else. So I'm just gonna stop jinxing myself. I'm just gonna stop saying it. So when the Lovers card is in reverse, much less about connecting us with other people. So for my keywords, date yourself, self-love, disharmony, imbalance, misalignment of values, and being out of sync. So communication is probably not going so great when we have the Lovers in reverse. A relationship might feel changed or strained, or maybe you guys have just kind of grown apart. Honestly, all of those things are possible when you pull the Lovers in reverse, but what's also possible is that you guys just aren't on the same page. And sometimes not being on the same page can feel like you guys are growing apart. It can feel like you guys are not compatible anymore. And you are, again, you're just not on the same page. And you just have to like pause, talk, communicate, reconnect, and then you're fine. But you know, if you're feeling these things about the relationship, you got to talk to the other person, because either you're going to be able to work on it and that's great, or you're going to discover that the feeling is mutual, and then that opens up an entirely different type of conversation. So it's really important to communicate and check in when we get this card in reverse. Also, when we get this card in reverse, self-love and respect are imperative. You are being called to take care of yourself like you would take care of your partner. If you wouldn't let your partner work this much, don't let yourself work that much. If your partner told you about the kind of day you had just had, would you tell them to suck it up and start making dinner? Or would you tell them to take it easy and take care of themselves and maybe go take a hot shower? Start taking care of yourself like you are your own partner. Start just putting that effort into yourself. If this card's in reverse, that's usually what's needed. Also, when this card shows up, again, use your surrounding cards to tell you what's going on. You might face really tough choices, and these choices might have really significant, God, I can't talk, significant, there we go, might have really significant consequences. Choose the ones that are in your alignment, and choose the ones that feel like they're for your highest good. You know, that's really all we can do. But it's really important that that's what we root our decision-making process in. Now, it's really important to also keep in mind that this card can suggest being, when it's in reverse, being at war with yourself. You know, you're bickering, you're not in agreement, you're fighting, it's not working. Then, as much as I just said, rebel against the Hierophant, which, remember, that's upright. If you get it in reverse, you might need to return to the Hierophant, and you might need to go seek some counsel and guidance, or maybe even just some support. But you might be looking for a mentor or a doctrine or an institution that can like reset you, re-guide you, put you back on like the path again, because you might have lost your way from the first one. So you might need that structure and that balance back. And it's okay if you do, but it just might be, you know, what the next thing looks like. Now, next card. Wheel of Fortune. Do we have the Wheel of Fortune here? Damn, I am 2 for 2. With no, maybe. Nope, that's the world. I got excited. I got my hopes up and your hopes up for nothing. Now, the Wheel of Fortune. The card prompt for this one, the little like journal, if you want to kind of get to know the card a little better, is explore your understanding of fate, luck, and chance. How has it changed? What changed it? And does this affect your everyday life? Important questions. Important things to know about yourself. And good ways to connect with the card. Now, if you're doing this card as a yes or no, it's a yes. This card is a big ol' yes. The planet it is associated with is Jupiter, which means the deities that it is connected to is Zeus or Jupiter. You know, is the Roman. And Archangel Michael is the angel that we see associated with this card. Now, the Wheel of Fortune is the 10th card in the zodiac. 10 is the number of independence, infinite potential, wholeness, exploration, and self-determination. I always forget exploration. It's like the one I always want to blank on. Now, we see on the card this big old wheel with the name of God on it. And we also see symbols for Mercury, sulfur, water, and salt. So Mercury, sulfur, water, and salt are the alchemical pillars of life, and they are used to cultivate an image of power. So that's kind of what we kind of see on there. So again, I say this all the time, if you are trying to study witchcraft, and if you want to be able to do, like, if you want to play with the big boys, you gotta learn alchemy. You gotta learn physics. You gotta learn, like, astrophysics. You gotta, like, learn astronomy. You gotta learn quantum physics. You gotta learn how energy works on a fundamental, like, level. These are all things that can really help you have a deeper sense of understanding of, you know, magic and what you're working with and like all of those types of things. It's really important to kind of look into that because, you know, even in tarot, we see alchemical symbols. In, you know, same thing in witchcraft. If you want to really get into witchcraft and play with certain deeper types of it, read up on religions, even if you don't practice them. It's important. Anyone who knows how to use the Book of Psalms correctly knows that whole thing is just one big spell book. And, you know, I say it all the time, but like people who do justice magic using the Book of Psalms mess you up. Remember, the Abrahamic God is a God of justice and judgment. And if you do justice and judgment spells using the Book of Psalms, you're gonna smack someone to the other side of the planet. It's crazy. So, like, you know, and don't limit yourself. Don't look at something and go, that's not witchcraft, or I don't need that for witchcraft. Yeah, you don't. not the really heavy stuff, but like if you want to get like into the deep end of the pool, then yeah, you do. And like this is a little bit of the deep end of the pool. So, you know, look into alchemy. I mean, for God's sakes, we're going into basic tarot, and even in basic tarot there's alchemy. So expand your horizons. You know, like it's really important, makes it a lot easier. Otherwise you're just going to see these weird symbols and be like, weird, and like move on with your day. Now there's usually a snake. Damn, I keep hitting the Siri thing on my Apple Watch. Now there's usually a snake on this card. This shows us life force. This shows us coming into the world. You know, think like the Ouroboros, the snake eating its own tail. We also see a imagery of the Egyptian god of the dead, Anubis. He's also, you know, typically shown with like scales and like judgment and like all that kind of stuff. He's not the one who does like the judging, but he does like oversee the weighing of your heart. So that's why he's very associated with it. Which would consider fate, you know, like a god of death is very much someone we tend to associate with like fate. Now we have the Greek god of evil. I don't want to say evil. There really wasn't any singular entity that embodied evil until like late medieval Christian revamps that finally introduced Satan into the mix, because we don't even have Satan until like the medieval Renaissance era. So no other religion has a god of evil or like a Satan like figure. There is no like Satan equivalent in other religions. The closest that we get is in Egyptian Cometicism. There is a being, and we don't speak its name. I'll call it the snake, because that's what it is. It's like a giant snake, and it's what Ra defeats every night. And it's not like a god of evil. It's not evil. It's not bad. It's just entropy. It's like, you don't consider a black hole evil for consuming a bunch of planets and stars. It's just entropy. It's just eating things. It's just doing what it does. That's what the snake is. It very much would like to consume everything and everyone, and it's nothing personal, and it's not a grand evil scheme. It's just a thing that eats, and like, so it eats, and Ra keeps it at bay. And that's probably the closest thing that any religion, at least that I know of off the top of my head, that have like a god of evil. But again, he's not evil. He's just like a force of nature. So I don't want you to consider Typhon as a god of evil. He's not. He's just a representation of chaos and like a giant snake-like monster, basically, from the Greek mythos. So not evil, but like chaos, entropy, the void, all of that. That's usually what we kind of see. Now, you know, this is meant to show mystery. Now also there is a Sphinx up at the top of the Wheel of Fortune. This suggests knowledge and strength. Now also on the Wheel of Fortune, we see 4 winged creatures, kind of like these represent the 4 fixed zodiac signs. So we see Aquarius. Aquarius is the angel, like the very typical looking angel. Scorpio is the eagle creature. Leo is the lion-headed creature, obviously. And Taurus is the bull-headed creature, obviously. Also, these represent the 4 angels in the Book of Revelations. The Book of Revelations, I've talked about it in a few of these classes. The Book of Revelations is a weird book. Everybody should read it, but it's a trip. But in the Book of Revelations, it describes 4 angels who sing God's praise, and they are described as like having an eagle head, a lion head, a bull head, and one with like the head of a man, I think, or something like that. Now, their wings are meant to represent stability, but also movement, and their scrolls are symbols of their wisdom. So upright, the Wheel of Fortune, for my keyword folks, are going to be good luck, karma, life cycles, destiny, and turning points. So the wheel helps us see how everything connects, and it helps us find answers. The wheel is something that's going to help us learn more about fate and about destiny. We tend to see ourselves in the grand scheme of things. This is when we like, oh, I get it now. Like, that's usually what happens when we kind of go into the Wheel of Fortune. The wheel is always turning because life is in a constant state of change. So if it's been hard, it's gonna get better. If it's been better, or if it's been really good, that's not to say things are gonna get bad, but things might plateau, things might calm down, you know? You can't go up forever. At one point, it's gonna settle. So it's really important to kind of take that into consideration. Like I said, if you get the Wheel of Fortune upright, oh my God, yay, that's great. But also, you know, just be prepared for change, because it'll happen. That doesn't mean it's gonna be bad. It just means that, like, you're not gonna be in this state of expansion and growth forever. You know, it's going to shift. Now, usually also we get a return to the phrase, what goes around comes around. That really is a big thing with this card a lot. Have faith in the universe, be willing to grow, be willing to expand, be open to help from others, and most importantly, release control. Stop trying to control the situation. Critical turning points in life are coming, and it's really, really imperative that you just kind of go with the riptide, you know? That's like the big one. We are not... Let me move that. There we go. This thing is not cooperating. There we go. So when this card is in reverse, we see bad luck, we see resistance to change, we see breaking cycles, and sometimes we see very unexpected changes. Now, when this card is in reverse, you are being called to take responsibility for where you are now, for better or for worse. I say this all the time. We cannot control the shit that happens to us, and the shit that happens to us is not our fault, but we have absolute control over how we respond to that shit, and the person we become is absolutely our fault, for better or for worse. It is 100% our fault, the person we become. We are 100% in charge of that. Our actions are 100% our fault, no matter what they look like. And it's really important when this card is in reverse to take accountability and to look at your actions. Woo! I hope nobody heard that. And to be really, really real with yourself. Now, even when so much is out of control, because that's usually what this card feels like when it's in reverse, a lot is out of control, everything's a little crazy. When so much feels like it's this crazy and this stressful and this like everywhere, it's really important to reassess and find where and what you do have control over, because there are things that you do have control over, and it's important not to try to push that too hard, again, in the places that you don't. And it's important to acknowledge where you do and put your focus there, put your effort into that. Learn from that. We may also, when this card is in reverse, we may also be resisting a change because it feels like it's being forced upon us. Maybe it is. Happens, man. I don't know what you want me to tell you. It happens. Sometimes all we can do is just go with it, you know? Sometimes that's all that we got. Now, it's also with this card, you may have realized how your actions can create patterns. You may have kind of come to that awareness. I'm sorry, we're not having anyone join the live right now. I've seen your request a few times. We're not having anyone join the live right now. I'm sorry. So like I said, you might be seeing a pattern. You might be noticing, you know, oh, hey, every time I do this, it doesn't work out for me. Or, oh, every time, you know, hey, every time someone tries to correct me, I get really aggressive and it never goes well. And like, you're starting to notice the pattern. You're starting to notice, you know, where you maybe have something to do with that. now that you're ready to change it, you're ready to break the cycle, you're ready to, you know, start moving forward, this is gonna cause a lot of soul searching. This is gonna cause a lot of like getting in tune with yourself. It might also even include a bit of a universal ass whooping. Reap what you sow, man. Take your lumps if that's what you gotta do, and then pick yourself back up, learn the lesson, go forward, apply the lesson, and you're good. Don't hold it against yourself. Don't beat yourself up. Don't try to talk about yourself like you're still that person, because you're not. Again, take the growth, but, you know, learn the lesson, apply the lesson. Just move forward. Don't let yourself do anything too much after that. But, you know, again, know that when this card's in reverse, you might have it coming. Like, that might just be what part of this is. That might just be what's coming with this card. And it might kind of be your fault. Like, you know, you might have screwed the pooch a little bit. It's usually not the most fun card to get in reverse. It's usually, at best, it's bad luck that is completely out of your hands. And at worst, it's your own damn fault. So, we are going to move on. This might be the last card of the day. We'll see. I don't know if I can speed run a fourth. But we are getting into one of my favorites. We're going to get into the Death card now. This is the one that gets everybody all riled up. Death in the Tower. That gets everybody riled up too. Now, the journal prompt for this card. Reflect on an ending that you have experienced. How did this change who you are? How did your life improve in the wake of it? And what do you think those transitions say about you? There's some food for thought. Now, this card is a Scorpio card. If you're looking for a yes or no, it's a no. Don't just pull it down. Pull it down. The planet it's related to is Scorpio, not Scorpio. It's a zodiac. It's related to Pluto. The deities that we see associated with this card are Mars, Aries, Hades, Thanatos, Anubis, and Hell. So, with the exception of Mars and Aries, all death gods. And then the angel we see is Azazel, who's the angel of death. So, all tracks. Death is number 13. Lucky number 13 in the tarot. 13 is the number of focus, pragmatism, independence, breaking things down, and manifestation. So on the death card, you know, we got our skeleton on a horse and he's going over this hill. He is our pale rider. And, you know, he shows us purity, strength, power. He is also a representation of one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Death. So, you know, pretty on the nose there. And, you know, he's a skeleton. Death. Pretty on the nose. It's, you know, more representation to the horseman motif. But skeletons are also, if we want to look at it more literally, skeletons are the last bit of us that continue long after death. It's a reminder that there really are no true endings. So this skeleton is coated in armor. And that armor is meant to show that death is invincible. There is no beating him. There's no fighting him off. There's none of that. He comes no matter what. The entire palette of the card is predominantly dark colors. This is supposed to suggest mourning. The Pale Rider has a flag. It's a black flag with a white 5-petaled rose. Though that rose is meant to represent beauty and purification. And there are, like I said, there's 5 petals. The number 5 is the number for change, immortality, endings into new beginnings, death into rebirth. It's the number of transformation. So, no duh, that it's, you know, 5 petals. Makes sense. Now, also on this card, as you know, death is coming up over the hill. There is a king that's usually on the ground. Sometimes he's even underfoot of the horse. You know, the horse is like stepping on him a little bit. And there's also a woman and child usually on the floor, not too far away from him. The woman's like usually shielding the baby, or she's trying to run away from death with the baby. This is meant to show that no one is spared from death. That's not how this works. It does not stop for status or wealth or gender or age. It just does what it does. And that's kind of what we see. There's also usually a boat in the background. This is reminiscent of Charon, the boatman of the River Styx, for anyone who isn't well versed in Greek mythos. And all the way in the back, we see a sun and 2 towers. And this is meant to give the motif to the Egyptian belief that the sun died and was reborn each day. And the sun like went through these 2, like a gate, basically. And in going through that gate, died and was reborn through the other gate. So that's kind of how they thought that the sun worked. Now, upright, again, keywords. Death is a card of endings, change, transformation, transition, and transfiguration. Now, after, again, in the Fool's journey, after the Fool has spent some time with the Hanged Man, which is, surrendering to the universe, letting the universe do what it will, death is the universe doing what it will. That is how this card tends to come into play. This need for change comes in after the surrendering of the Hanged Man. And we get this in death. Death comes in and eliminates old habits. It cuts out the non-essentials. The change that we go through when the death card comes to us is sometimes overwhelming. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes it literally feels deadly, but it is temporary, just as all things are. This too shall pass and all that, In death, you find people and things that no longer serve you. You let them go, and then you open up to better things and you upgrade. It's that simple. You must close some doors in order to open others, and it's important to remind yourself that change always comes. Usually with the death card, this change that's coming is completely inevitable. There is nothing, by the time this change comes, there is nothing you or anybody else can do to have stopped this. Maybe there was an opportunity at some point, but that opportunity is long gone. It is so far gone, we don't even know where it is anymore. The opportunity to fix it's gone. This change is inevitable. It has to come. It has to change. At this point, that is the only way it gets better, is if death just kind of comes in and changes things. Put the past behind you. Allow yourself to transform. It can be sudden, unexpected change, and also you are usually called to release your unhealthy attachments when this card shows up, especially if you get this card with the devil. If those 2 cards show up together, you gotta let go of those unhealthy attachments. I don't care how good they feel, they are self-destructive and they are bad for you and they gotta go. And that's usually what you can see in cards like that. Now, when this card's in reverse, we see a resistance to change. We see inner purging and personal growth. Now, when this card is in reverse, you may be on the verge of a very large, very meaningful change, but you're resisting it. You may be reluctant, you may be scared, you may be thinking that you don't know how to change. That might be part of what's going through your mind. But you still carry harmful viewpoints. It's really important that you recognize that. You still have things or people in your life that are harmful, that are not good for you, that are not for your highest good. And you will feel stagnated. Because these things that are not good for you, they're going to interfere with new opportunities, with positive room for growth. They're going to fuck with those things. So it's really important that if you start to feel stagnated or in limbo, embrace the change. Don't resist it. Even if it scares the shit out of you, it's going to be better than the stagnation that's going on right now. Learn to let go. Death can also show us, again, all the ways in which life can be better. It's important that when this card shows up, that we welcome the change, whether it's external or internal. Because sometimes when this card is in reverse, sometimes all it means is that the change is happening inside, not outside. So keep that in mind. It's not always all of this. Sometimes it's exactly what the card means upright, but it's just happening internally instead of externally. Use your surrounding cards to kind of tell you if that's the case, if that's kind of what's going on. A lot of the times it's important to see what you need and what you don't need and what gets in the way of what you need, and then start releasing. That's really long and short of it. Time for temperance. Temperance, the devil, the tower, alone, the sun. Oh my god. Just keeps going, don't it? Yeah, we'll do temperance real fast. Yeah, we'll get into it. Why not? I'll speed run it. Now, the card prompt for temperance. How do you harmonize? Or how do you not? What are the binaries in your life? So what are the really big black and white binaries in your life? Do you find that you are someone who tends to gravitate to extremes, or are you more of a meeting point between opposites? So you like a balance keeper? So, yes or no? It's a yes. Big yes. The planet it's associated with is Jupiter. You want to think Sagittarius energy. So you want to think optimistic, fair-minded, honest, intellectual. Those are all the big things you want to think of. The deities that are associated with this card: Diana, Artemis, Iris. And the angels that we're going to find are Bethesda. Not the video game. Not the video game company. The angel, Bethesda. The angel of the healing fountain. And temperance is number 14 in the deck. 14 is the number of freedom, self-determination, curiosity, wit, and fairness. Now, on the temperance card, I know we have temperance here. There's no way in hell we don't. There's no way. There's no way. Oh my god, I'm 3 for 3. Oh my goodness. Oh, my left ear's ringing. Who's talking about me? Who's talking shit? Anyway. I hope it's not talking shit. I hope it's good things. But temperance. Normally, we see an angel floating and they're pouring water into these 2 cups. Now, like I said, large angel, they appear both masculine and feminine. They're very androgynous. That's a point for that. Again, they're the balance point between the masculine and the feminine. Also, their symbol is a square with a triangle on the inside. That's kind of what they're wearing on their chest piece. The square shows us the natural law. It shows us the earth. And the triangle represents humans. It shows how we are bound by natural law. Again, the triangle exists inside the square. Humans are inside natural law. Now, they have 1 foot on the rocks. This shows that they are grounded. They have 1 foot in the water. This shows that they also go with the flow. Think like we talked about this with the star. Very, very similar energy. Now, the angel pours water between the 2 cups. This is meant to show the flow of energy, alchemy, life, all the good stuff. And the big mountain range going on in the back symbolizes tough journeys, long roads, hard work. And the light above the mountains shows taking a higher path and staying true to virtue and our higher purpose. Now, upright, temperance is going to show us balance, moderation, patience, and purpose. So it's really important that you stabilize your energy and you allow it to flow to you and with you without any resistance. This will kind of help you return your balance. Stop fighting it. Remain calm, manage your emotions, and keep an even temperament. That's a really important thing with this card. This is a compromise. Take the middle road. Try to accommodate people. Be the peacekeeper. Take a balanced, moderated approach. That is usually what's needed. This is not always the energy we need to bring, but if this card shows up, that is the energy you need to bring to the situation right now. Blend elements in a way that makes someone greater than the sum of their parts. Again, alchemy, right? Don't rush, have a clear vision, and find a guided, calm, moderate approach. It will bring you to your goals better. This card can also suggest higher learning. But temperance is pretty simple. It's not too crazy. Now, in reverse, we see imbalance, excess, self-healing, and realignment. So if we get this card in reverse, it can be a warning that we're being excessive. This card is very much the reminder of do everything in moderation. It can also suggest that someone is struggling with maybe an addictive issue. Again, they're out of moderation with something. Look for the devil card if you want to see an addictive thing. Temperance in reverse and the devil upright are the beginnings to suggest that. If you pull that card, don't immediately turn around and start trying to get someone into AA. That's not exactly what that means, and they might not need that. Be smart, but if you get those cards and if you think someone needs help, then yeah, get their ass in AA. Get them help. Whatever you can do. So it's important to kind of don't jump the gun, but it is important to know what the warning signs look like when they are there. If things aren't flowing, it's time to focus on the long-term vision and try to realign things. This is usually, if it's in a reverse, you could really go with some soul searching, self-healing through balance. And, don't be discouraged by conflict. People often fight growth because when you grow, everyone around you is either pressured to grow with you, which they will fight, or they will be reminded of the ways that they have not grown, and they will either feel inspired to rise to the task, or they will be triggered and they will get angry and they will try to stop your own growth because they don't want to acknowledge that you can do it, because if you can do it, they can do it, and they're just choosing not to, and they'd rather say that they can't than that they don't want to. So if you have the temperance card, you might deal with some resistance as you grow and as you change, You might get the, you've changed, man. Yeah, so should you. So if you get the temperance card, remember everything in moderation. It's a good sign that things are going to calm down soon, especially if it's upright. If it's in reverse, start trying to put things back in moderation. Start trying to balance things out. Pull more cards. Ask where the imbalance is. Ask where things need to be balanced. Ask what needs more of your attention versus what doesn't. Keep pulling. You'll get the answers. Don't worry about it. But that's going to be it for today. We are going to start tomorrow with the not tomorrow. Next Saturday. What am I talking about? We're going to start next Saturday with the devil. We might finish the major arcana next Saturday. We might not. We'll see what happens. But until then, take care of yourselves. I will see you all next Saturday. Thank you guys for stopping by. And I don't think we have any holidays coming up until I see you guys next. So I guess I'll just see you guys next week. Have a very good week. Bye-bye.